Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, and I'm a bit croaky from having fun in advance of EUIC over in London, but we've got a new EX to talk about. And we've got ourselves a new A-Spec to talk about, and this is all looking very fun indeed. For what it's worth, Palafin EX was actually revealed today over in Japan, as I suggested it might be. And that is both Palafin EX, of course, and the Palafin whose ability you need to use to get Palafin EX into play. But we talked about all that yesterday with the Palafin EX box. We don't need to go over that again. What we do need to go over, however, is Dragapult EX. We knew Dragapult was coming. We knew Terra Dragon Dragapult was going to be coming. It's literally on the booster pack. So we'd known this was coming. What we haven't known is what it actually does. Now we do. I should mention I've done all the translations for this myself. As I record, the lovely Anton Boulet has not posted translations yet. So I am flying a little bit blind here. But I'll tell you what, I'm actually pretty confident with my translations. So I'll double check them before I post this just to be sure. But right now, I honestly feel pretty good about my translations. So let's start off with a little bit of the old Dragapult EX. Now obviously being a Terra Pokemon, it's got that lovely thing whereby it doesn't take damage on the bench. We know all of that. We've got a Stage 2 here. And the Stage 2 is awkward. Having a Stage 2 EX is always awkward because they're more difficult to get into play. It creates some issues. But actually, before we get to Dragapult, I'm going to go and have a look at Drakloak, because this makes a gigantic difference, because it's got an ability. And it's the kind of ability we want Stage 1s that we're going to be evolving to have. And this is actually quite a simple ability to translate. Once during your turn, you may use this ability, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one to put in your hand, put the other one to the bottom of your deck. That's it. That's what it does. You look at the top 2 cards of your deck, one goes to your hand and the other goes to the bottom of your deck. And this is very, very, very much like having Kirlia in a Gardevoir deck. You've got a Stage 2. Having a Stage 2 is awkward. But now you can take that Stage 2 and get it rolling so much more easily because you've got a Stage 1 with a draw ability that can be used to get this out and rolling. It is huge. Now, don't get me wrong, Gardevoir has a lot of stuff going for it. But one of the main things that Gardevoir has had going for it is the fact that a Stage 1 that evolves into it, i.e. a Stage 1 that you have to play anyway. Well, that's a lie, you could go to Rare Candy route. But a Stage 1 that you don't mind playing, put it that way, has this ability. This makes this card so much better. It is ridiculous. It is a huge, huge, huge bonus. This is a very, very, very big deal. For what it's worth, you can actually just use this Stage 1 as a draw engine in other decks. You don't have to use it for Dragapult decks. You can just use this for whatever you like. This can just flat out be a draw engine if you want it to be. You can compare it to Kirlia. Essentially, Kirlia you draw 2, but you have to discard a card from your hand. Drakloak, you get 1 card from 2, but only 1. But you don't have to discard a card from your hand. Depends what deck you're playing as to which one of these is going to be preferable. But this is already a huge advantage. So as for Dragapult, single energy 70, 2 energy, 200, and you put 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way that you like. It's actually pretty good. The 200 damage is a little awkward because like 220 is the magic number for Pokemon Vs, 230 is the magic number for EXs, so that's a little bit awkward. And dropping 6 damage counters is annoying because 70 is generally the magic number for small support Pokemon, evolving basics, etc. So all these numbers are just a little bit lower than you would expect. But then again, to put it another way, if this could KO a basic EX, while also KOing an evolving basic or a support Pokemon on the bench, this would be absolutely flat out, full on broken. And making these numbers a little bit smaller is essentially what makes this Pokemon sensible. I'll be honest with you. And you know what? Yeah, this is very, very, very nice. Sure, you'll need a bit more damage here and there, but the thing is, with your Dragapult, yes, 200 isn't enough, but you can be dropping like 60 damage or 6 damage counters, and then 200 will be enough. You can drop that 6 damage counters on the same Pokemon a couple of times and take KOs. You will be getting a lot of damage on the board with this, and you've got your draw engine rolling as well. Make no mistake about it, this is a very good Pokemon. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 Wossies, because you know what? This is one that I like. Although, to be honest with you, we kind of can't stop yet, because sure, this might be a Stage 2 Dragapult, and that might be a bit awkward, but we have another Dragapult in the format at the moment. We have the one from Silver Tempest that lets you discard a number of bench Dreepy up to the number of your opponent's Pokemon in play, and then for each Dreepy you discarded in this way, you choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and do 100 damage to it. You cannot choose the same Pokemon more than once. But once you've got your Dragapult into play, and it's going to be awkward, right? Because you kind of want your Drakloak, and you're going to want multiples of those in play. And you're going to kind of want your Dragapult, and you may want more than one of them in play. So it is going to be a little bit awkward to actually have a bunch of Dreepy on the bench that you're willing to get rid of to use this. But whacking 100 damage on the bench, especially for this Pokemon that almost does enough, but then also drops damage counters, yeah. Finding turns with enough Dreepy to actually use here is going to be annoying, but there are going to be turns where this attack is phenomenal, and I could absolutely see this being a one-off if you're playing Dragapult EX anyway. I like this one. But I did promise you a new A-Spec as well, and I absolutely intend to deliver. We've got ourselves Legacy Energy. At least that's what it literally translates as from the katakana, which I'm going to go ahead and assume is probably correct. And look, from the original run of A-Specs, it was no secret that Neo Upper Energy was the worst. Like, by a wide margin, the worst of them. Is this the worst of them? Nah, mate. This is way better than Neo Upper Energy. What this does is, it's any energy. When you attach it to a Pokemon, it is any energy you like. And it doesn't matter what you attach it to, there's no restrictions here. Whereas like Neo Upper Energy only works on Stage 2s, this works on anything. Any Pokemon, attach this, any energy, it's a rainbow energy, it's beautiful. But when you attach it to a Pokemon, you give up one less prize if you're KO'd by damage from an attack. Yeah, that's pretty good, right? For what it's worth, it only activates once. You cannot use this to stop multiple prizes being taken. And when I say you can only use it to prevent a prize being taken once, I mean once. I mean once per game. Literally says on the card once per battle, but you can compare that to other cards like Unknown V that says you win the game, and when they say battle on Japanese cards, they are referring to the game. So, okay, it's a once per game thing. Incidentally, if you can recover this from the discard, you can still use this to provide any energy, but it won't actually allow you to reduce prize cards more than once. That's still a ridiculously powerful effect. Now, they stopped you looping it to make sure that you can't essentially keep recovering the energy and keep not giving up a prize. But you know what? This is still a very, very good card. The idea that it's any energy is good. The idea that it's on any Pokemon is good. The idea that you get to stop a prize being taken is also very, very good. And yeah, fine, it is once per game. But I'm telling you now, this is not Neo Upper Energy. This is a lot better than Neo Upper Energy, and that's kind of good. So yay! Let's go give this one 4 Wossies as well. I'm not sure how much play this is going to see. We've got a lot of very, very good A-Specs out there, but I do think this is a very, very good card that is going to see some play because it's any energy, and it stops a prize being given up. And sure, it's only one, But generally speaking, if your opponent has to take one more prize than you to win the game, that's a good thing for you. And while we're here, there is also a new item card that is coming in as well. I think it's Good Morning Whistle. I'm calling it Good Morning Whistle. There might be some better ways, but I'm calling it Good Morning Whistle. Maybe it's something like Wake Up Whistle or something like that. But I'm saying Good Morning Whistle because I think that's delightful. If lovely Antoine Boulet calls it something else, then there's a decent chance what it says at the top of the screen is different to Good Morning Whistle. But that's what I'm going with for the moment. And what we've got is a kind of fantastic item card here that lets you look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and put as many basic Pokemon as you like into play. That's kind of amazing, right? You are looking at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and putting as many Pokemon as you like from there onto your opponent's bench. And yes, if they've got play abilities, you get to activate those play abilities. This is just fun. Obviously, if you've got a Pokemon whose attack depends on, what your opponent's got in play, let's say my boy Incineroar, well, this is good. Incineroar reduces its attack cost by 1 for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Well, this is great with that because it basically forces your opponent to have more bench Pokemon, which means that you're going to be reducing the attack cost less. For any deck which relies on the number of your opponent's bench Pokemon, this is flat out nutty good. But this is also super annoying. Like, you can use this turn 1 going first before your opponent's drawn a card, used a supporter or anything like that, and just use it to fill up their bench with Pokemon they don't want, and that's kind of brilliant. And the thing is, we can look at a card like Captivating Pokepuff, for instance. That let you bench Pokemon from your opponent's hand, but they could just not keep Pokemon in hand to try and get around this. This is doing it from the top of your opponent's deck. There's no playing around this. I suppose you can try and play a card that rearranges top cards of your deck, but that's not going to be an easy thing to do. I like this. I like being able to fill up your opponent's bench. I like it for something like Incineroar, but I also just generally like it for screwing with your opponent and making their bench suboptimal. Let's go and give this one between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I like these cards. I like Dragapult. I love Drakloak. I think Legacy Energy is really good. And then we've got a new item card that can annoy as well. These are good cards, but now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think of them. Tell me what you're excited about. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.